Have you ever taken the time to reflect on the purpose behind each obstacle you face in life? Do you ever wonder if there is a deeper reason for the hard things you go through? Some people may think it sounds like another motivating quote you see on social media. What if I told you it's more than that, though? What if I told you that this idea comes from an old philosophy that has been around for a long time? Yes, I'm talking about Stoicism, a school of thought that teaches us to accept life's challenges with serenity and wisdom rather than just enduring them. We can find the essence of Stoicism in the virtues that make us who we are today. This ancient wisdom can help us find our way through the hardest times and guide us on our daily journey. Stoicism can help us learn how to deal with problems in our personal or work lives, problems that arise out of the blue, or just the normal ups and downs of life. In the midst of trouble, it gives us a way to not only survive, but also thrive. We learn from it that changing our situations won't make our lives more satisfying. What matters is how we react to them. It encourages us to cultivate a strong attitude and find strength in our own capacity to change and grow in the face of adversity. You've come to the right place if you've ever felt like you're always going against the current, if you've ever thought how to find peace in the midst of a storm, or if you're just interested in how old wisdom can help us understand our modern existence. I want you to join me on this journey of getting to know myself and growing as a person. So let's look at how to use the ideas of Stoicism to turn our hardest times into our biggest wins. We will learn to live with purpose, honesty, and an inner strength that can't be broken. With each step, this journey will offer us a chance to learn, grow, and find new ways to face life with courage and drive. As we start this life-changing trip, I want to ask you to click the subscribe button and stay with us the whole way. Every moment will be meant to move you, give you strength, and show you the way to being real and whole. You will not want to miss any part of this life-changing event. Come with us to learn how to use problems to move forward in your evolution. Number 1. Ask yourself what your limits are. Have you ever been content with less than what you could have? Our lives often have times when we don't really question the limits we've set for ourselves for days, weeks, or even years. But this is where the important question, why not, comes up. It's a simple question, but it can help us get past the fear and routine that are holding us back. Now, the Stoics were not inactive. They did not let life happen to them because they were full of stoicism. They took charge of their lives and constantly looked at their choices, actions, and relationships through the lens of virtue and self-improvement. A Stoic would ask, why not take the path that leads to growth, when they had to make a choice or deal with a problem? It's not about taking chances without thinking. It's about making choices that are in line with your better self and core ideals. So, if you're at a crossroads and not sure whether to step into the unknown or make your efforts better, stop and ask yourself, why? Why not try to get that raise, start that project, or trust your dreams? Our futures are shaped in these times of choice. But here's the catch. Why is it not just about facing problems from the outside? Why is it also about facing stories inside our heads that hold us back? It's about fighting self-doubt, fear of failing, and being happy with the way things are. It's a call to action that tells you to stop being average and accept your greatness. Remember all the Stoic heroes you know, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius. They saw problems as chances to learn and grow. They didn't settle for a simple, easy life. Instead, they chose the road of virtue, strength, and personal greatness. When you ask yourself, why not? You are doing just that. You're ready to take on life head-on, to learn and grow, and to come out of it better and smarter. When you start to question yourself, Remember that you have the power to change the story and the strength to go beyond what you think you can do. Think like a Stoic and ask yourself, why not? See how far your interest, courage and dedication can take you. Second, the need to always be making progress. This never-ending search for improvement fits nicely with Marcus Aurelius's idea of always moving forward or being a project that is changing. Focusing on what they could change, like their virtues, actions and reactions to things happening around them, was what the Stoics believed in. They didn't try to be perfect. Instead, they wanted to get better. That's what I want you to do. Strive for progress by constantly reflecting. Whether it's improving your work skills, building your relationships, or creating a cult that inspires inner peace, progress is at the heart of everything that matters. Growth is at the heart of a happy life. You are naturally in tune with the Stoic virtue of self-control when you are constantly working to improve yourself. You're on a journey to become the best version of yourself because it's the best way to live by your principles, not for praise or validation from others. However, here's the thing. Being obsessed with better yourself doesn't mean being mean or harsh to yourself. It means being kind and determined to grow. It involves recognizing the small victories while still looking forward to the next stage of your evolution. Oh, there will be mistakes and failures along the way. But like a true Stoic, you won't see them as losses. Instead, you'll see them as lessons and steps toward improvement. So how do you keep this fixation on progress going? Set clear, conscious goals that are in line with your core ideals as a first step. Every day, think about the things you do and choices you make and ask yourself, how do they connect to your growth goals? Step 3. Live your life with energy and purpose. People who are Stoic are known for being strong, stable, and devoted to their beliefs without wavering. They give everything when they commit to something, not because they want praise or attention, but because they know that this is the essence of living a good life with meaning. They aren't half-hearted about their tasks or interests. They give their all to what they're doing. They show us that the worth of our actions doesn't lie in the results, but in how committed we are to them. They put all of their energy and efforts into their businesses, no matter what kind they are. Every day, they are determined not to let sloth take over, but to use their thoughts, choices, and actions to make their own future. It's not enough to just think big. You have to also act big. It is those brave and determined steps that keep them going, even when the road ahead is rough and full of unknowns. But here's an important thing to remember. Giving it your all isn't just about what you do. It's also about how you do it. Sincerity, desire, and honesty are important when it comes to your tasks, your relationships, and your personal growth. Working on a project, spending time with loved ones, or taking time to reflect on your personal growth are all examples of being fully present and involved in the face of challenges. It means meeting them with bravery and strength, using your inner strength to get through hard times. How can you start to give your life your all? Figure out what's most important to you, your core beliefs, your most important goals, and your greatest hobbies. Then make a promise to follow them with all your heart. Hold yourself to high standards and work hard every day, not because you feel like you have to, but because you want to live a full and honest life. Remember that giving your all is not something you do just once. It's something you do every day, with every breath. If you follow this philosophy, it will not only help you reach your goals, but it will also give you a great sense of purpose and satisfaction on your trip. Fourth, stay on your way. The world we live in is full of challenges, things that draw our attention away, and, let's be honest, many reasons to go in a different direction. Yet, this is where the real magic takes place. A stand for something bigger is what you do when you stick to your plan. even when there is a lot of noise and chaos around you. In the end, you are respecting your path, your beliefs, and yourself. The Stoics knew that life is full of things that can take our attention away from our real purpose, but they also knew how important it was to stay the course and stick to your principles and goals. Being stoic and sticking to your path isn't just about getting things done. It's also about having ethics and character. What does it mean for you to keep going? Being clear about your life's path means knowing what you stand for, what you want to achieve, and what kind of person you want to be. When you do this, you keep your eyes on your North Star and use it to guide you, even when it rains and the water gets rough. The important thing is to remember that staying on your path doesn't mean being fixed or unwilling to change. Sometimes you have to change your course to stay on course. You can do this by learning from your mistakes and changing your sails as needed. Most importantly, these changes should always be in line with your core values and long-term goals. How are you going to stay on track? Start by knowing yourself. Reflect on your life's beliefs, goals, and purpose. Cultivate the self-control to make choices that are right for you, even if they are difficult or disliked. Use them as a guide. Also, know that being tough is important. Look at challenges and failures as chances to fortify your resolve and increase your dedication to your journey. Fifth, don't worry about the results. People often tell us to keep our eyes on the goal and judge our success by what we've already done. However, what if I told you that letting go of success gives you a lot of freedom and power? Where Stoicism really shines is in giving us a deeply freeing view that can change how we see life and what success means to us. According to the Stoics, there are some things we can manage and some things we can't. We can choose to work hard, have good goals, and have the right attitude, but we can't always control what happens. By keeping our eyes on the end result, we prepare for anger, sadness, and even hopelessness because we are hanging on to something we can't handle. What does it mean to take the focus off of results? Putting our whole selves into something means giving it our all, whether it's a work job, a personal goal, or a friendship. It means giving the process our full attention and being open to the difficulties and chances to learn that come up without getting too tied to the end result. Think about how freeing it would be to do your job with love and dedication, not because you think it will get you awards or praise, but because you believe in what you're doing. It is the essence of Stoic wisdom to find happiness and purpose in the things you do, not just the results they might have. To be clear though, not focused on results doesn't mean you don't care about success or don't set goals. It means you redefine success in terms of your own character, honesty, bravery, and dedication. You have learned and grown. From a Stoic point of view, these are the real ways to measure progress. What are some ways you can start to think this way? Reflect on your beliefs and the kind of person you want to be before moving forward. In light of this, concentrate more on the traits you want to cultivate and the actions you want to take than on the benefits you hope to receive from outside sources. When you're worried about how things are going, gently tell yourself of what you can change and try to focus your energy on your efforts and mood. Sixth, what you put out is what you get back. Imagine that your existence serves as a mirror that reflects both what you show to the outside world and what is inside of you. People who are angry, afraid, or negative can taint their experiences and relationships with others. On the other hand, if you work on virtues like honesty, kindness, and mental strength, they will show in your life and bring you good relationships and situations. People who believed in Stoicism stressed how important it was to build a strong, good character because they knew that this is what makes life worth living. They thought it was impossible to change the world around you, but that you could change how you behave in that setting. You will simply create a life that reflects those virtues by focusing on being the best version of yourself. How, then, can you live by this concept in your everyday life? Do some self-reflection every so often and look at your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with a critical but caring eye. Find ways to improve and grow, and work on developing the virtues that matter to you, whether they are kindness for others, courage in the face of hardship, or persistence in reaching your goals. Keep in mind that this doesn't mean being perfect or not making mistakes. It just means being aware of your inner state and how it shows up in the outside world. Although it can be hard, you should try to make sure that your actions are in line with your greatest values. And when you fail, which we all do, you should be humble and strong enough to learn from your mistakes and keep going on your path to self-improvement. When you follow Stoic wisdom, you give yourself the power to create your own world. You realize that you can't change everything that happens to you, but you can change how you respond and who you choose to be. As you connect your being with your greatest goals, the world around you will begin to reflect that same quality and depth. 7th, take the test right now. Consider the problems you have encountered in your own existence. Our first response could be anger, disappointment, or even hopelessness. The essence of this Stoic principle is that we should see these challenges as hidden chances or catalysts for our own development and self-exploration. When the Stoics talked about problems, they didn't play them down. They were well aware of the pain and problems that each problem can cause, but they also thought that every problem had the potential for an advantage equal to or greater to it. It's not the problem itself that makes us fail, but how we handle it. When we choose to see a problem as a chance, we stop being passive consumers of our situations and become active and powerful change agents. How can you use the idea that the problem is the way in your everyday life? When you're facing a problem, start by changing the way you think about it. Take a moment to think about what you can learn from this and how it can help you grow instead of letting problems drain your energy and mental health. You can use challenges as stepping stones to improve your strength, imagination, and determination. Keep in mind that the best roads are often the ones that are the hardest. Your character and personal story are shaped by the problems you face, the obstacles you get past, and the drive you show. Each challenge gives you a chance to work on virtues like patience, courage, and flexibility, which will make you smarter and stronger. Also, remember that getting past problems often takes creative thought and a desire to go in new directions. This is the time of trouble when we are told to broaden our views, think in new ways, and find skills we didn't know we had. We cultivate a sense of thanks for the growth they allow us by taking a Stoic stance toward challenges. Learning to value the journey, with all of its ups and downs, and understanding that the most important lessons are often learned through hardship. 8th, do not much but good. The enormity of our goals or the difficulty of our tasks can easily overpower us in the vast patchwork of existence. We might ask, what does my intervention have to do with this? We might only make a small difference, but that's how big things are made, by the sum of their parts, which are made up of small acts that may not seem important at first. People who follow the Stoic philosophy know that we can't change big things that happen, but we can change the choices we make. Instead of getting stuck on the big job at hand or getting too focused on the faraway goal, they tell us to pay attention to the present and do what is right and necessary at that very moment. No matter how small or unimportant our efforts may seem, doing the little that we can is a call to action that inspires us to live life with purpose and hard work. How can we use this idea in our everyday lives? First, we can break down our most important goals into steps that are easier to handle and more likely to be reached. Let's think about what we can get done today, even if it's just a little progress. Keep in mind that what matters is how consistently and persistently we act, not how much we do. Each small step is important because it builds a base that will support our bigger goals in the long run. This Stoic way of thinking also tells us to find worth and meaning in the process, not just the end result. Focusing on the small things we can do makes us more aware of the moment, more involved, and often more productive. We learn to value the road, with all of its ups and downs, because we know that our daily actions and attitudes are what make us grow and feel fulfilled. By following this philosophy, we cultivate humility and resolve, acknowledge that we are not all-powerful, but also believe in our ability to affect and take action. When we learn to change and keep going, even when progress seems slow or impossible, we become adaptive. 9. Change how you think about success. Sometimes financial wealth, job titles, or social media fans are used to measure success. This can make it easy to lose sight of what's really important. But what would happen if we stopped and thought about what success really meant to us? People who follow the Stoic philosophy teach us that the only way to really achieve success is not to get more things or make other people like you, but to build a strong character that works with nature and serves our human functions, which are to be whole, brave, and smart no matter what. This way of looking at success is very powerful because it gives us the power to take action. We may not be able to control the economy, the job market, or how other people see us, but we can control our own deeds and virtues. So how can we start to change the way we think about success? Do some deep self-reflection and think about what you really value and what kind of person you want to be. Set goals that are in line with these principles, focused on your own growth and how you can make a positive difference in other people's lives. Identify the virtues in others that you admire and want to cultivate in yourself. To change what success means, you have to learn to value the process as well as the result. Honor your hard work, your determination, and your growth, even if the results don't show up right away. Remember that in Stoicism, how you deal with problems is just as important as how well you reach your goals. It means keeping your ethics and calmness no matter what is going on around you. When you aren't constantly seeking outward validation, you will also find that your idea of success can make you happier and more fulfilled. Once you have that freedom, you can focus on what makes you truly happy and fulfilled. You will probably find that the practice of virtue and meaningful connection with the world are much more satisfying than any external accomplishments you may achieve. Number 10. Don't always try to get approval. In a culture where getting other people's approval and validation is so important, it's easy to lose our essence and forget our main goals and values in the process of trying to please others. Individualism, on the other hand, is a strong contrast to this focus on the outside world. It reminds us that our qualities and decisions should be based on our own beliefs and virtues, not on what other people think. Some people who follow the Stoic philosophy say that trying to please others can turn into a form of slavery because we let their opinions and views control our actions and self-esteem. We gain a deep sense of freedom and sincerity when we let go of this need for outward validation. We are then free to act in line with our own values and beliefs, following what we truly desire. The rightness and importance of our choices don't depend on how well they do in the eyes of others. Then how can we start to separate our deeds from the need to please? First, it's important to become very self-aware. To distinguish between actions motivated by a desire for outward validation and those based in our true selves, we need to understand our motives. This isn't always easy because it requires being honest and thinking about yourself, but it is a necessary step toward a more genuine and satisfying existence. Next, we need to build trust in our own choices and opinions. The Stoics stress how important it is to use reason and wisdom to decide what to do. When we trust our own judgment and act in line with our well-thought-out beliefs, we count less on other people's support and can stick to our decisions even if they are seen as unpopular or wrong, because we know they are based on our core values. It is also important to understand that we can't please everyone. This is not only okay, but also normal and unavoidable. Each of us is a unique person with our own views, ideals, and points of view. It is impossible to meet everyone's needs, and if we tried, we would have to constantly change and adapt to meet other people's standards, which would mean losing who we are. Being truthful and honest with ourselves helps us find real relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. And even if we are faced or turned down, we can take heart in the fact that we are living with integrity and following our Stoic ideals. 11. Don't let anything confuse you. In a world that always wants our time, attention, and energy, being able to say no to ourselves is a very useful skill. Not only do we have to say no to things we don't want to do, but we also have to stand up for our goals, values, and independence. Stoic philosophy tells us to pay attention to what is truly important and within our control. This may mean turning down requests, chances, or even demands that go against our core values. The Stoics believed that we should live in balance with nature, which means that we should know and accept our own boundaries. They knew that our time and energy are limited and that we need to be careful about how we use them. So, knowing how to say no is very important. Being discerning helps us focus on what is truly important and helpful, not just what is urgent or what other people want us to do. But, let's be honest, it can be very hard to say no. It takes guts, especially when we've been taught to please other people or are afraid of letting them down. However, the Stoic way of thinking tells us to trust our own judgment and make choices based on reason and virtue, not on fear or peer pressure. When we say no out of strong conviction, we're not just turning down an offer. We're saying a lot about our values and our desire to live an honest life. How can we then improve our capacity to say no? To begin, you need to be clear about what you stand for, what you value, and what your goals are. If you know where you want to go and what you stand for, it will be easier to tell which requests are in line with your path and which ones are not. Remember that telling someone no doesn't have to be rude or angry. It can be done with respect and kindness, saying thank you for the offer while strongly declining it. Learning how to say no can also be freeing. It can free us from promises and pressures that aren't necessary, letting us focus on what really matters. By respecting our own needs and limits, we also cultivate self-respect. Surprisingly, this can also make other people respect us more because they will see our honesty and clarity of purpose. Do not worry about number 12. Let go with the help of ignorance. What is the best way to let go of the use of indifference? Understanding and accepting the difference between what we can and cannot control is important. We can control our actions, our attitudes, and our virtues, but not the results, the actions of others, or the randomness of fate. It's easier to let go of the anger, stress, and sadness that come from hanging on to things we can't change when we really understand this. To be clear though, letting go of boredom does not mean that you don't care about anything. It means that we should really care about the things that are right, the things that are in our control, and be fair to the rest. It's about wisely using our energy, putting all of our heart and effort into what we do, and letting go of our commitment to results. Just think about how much lighter you'd feel if you stopped feeling bad about everything that didn't go the way you wanted it to, and stopped getting caught up in problems that aren't yours to solve. Instead, imagine redirecting that energy toward what truly matters: your passions, your relationships, your growth. By releasing the grip of frustration and disappointment, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. Embrace the journey, embrace the process, and trust that everything will unfold as it should. After all, life's beauty often lies in its unpredictability. It seems like words don't mean much anymore in this world of noise and shallowness. This makes people wonder if they can show how valuable they are without saying a word. Is it possible to discover the worth and goals of the people around us? The old philosophy of Stoicism says the answer is a strong yes. The Stoics thought that being brave was one of the most important things a person could have, and that deeds, not words, could show how brave someone was. I want to ask you to go on this trip of personal growth. You will learn how to see your worth and set a good standard for yourself and the world. Allow us to begin. Make an effort to look good. Before you think of a Stoic as a serious, unfriendly, ancient person, let me clear the air. Being a Stoic isn't about hiding your feelings or being different. It's about knowing what needs your attention and what doesn't. Your energy should go to how you present yourself. Your energy should go to how you present yourself. In relationships, let's talk about what it means to treat yourself with respect. It's possible to lose who we are when we try too hard to please someone. For example, we might dress or talk in a way that makes them like us less. Here's where our Stoic wisdom comes in. Your worth doesn't come from what you wear or where you go, but from how you act, what you do, and the choices you make. If you're in a cafe and see two people on a date, what would you do? One is trying to show off and impress, while the other is happy with how they look. Which do you think will stick with you the longest? It's true that there's strength in carrying yourself with honor. To be a Stoic, you have to be honest and respect yourself. Today, this means easy things. If you're excited about something, give it your all and let it shine. You don't have to act like someone else. You just have to feel good in your own skin and know that you're good enough the way you are. Also, be nice to yourself. The way you treat yourself determines how other people will treat you. What do you want to say? That getting treated the same way is fine. But when you value yourself, your time, your energy, and your feelings, you send a loud and clear message. I deserve respect and expect to be treated that way. In relationships, it's not just about what you say or how you see yourself. It's also about how you act and respond to different things. Are you acting out of panic or with respect? Don't give up on your ideals just to fit in. Stand your ground, even if it means being by yourself. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We all make mistakes and have days when we feel weird. But it's how you handle those times that matter. Do you give up when things get tough, or do you keep your cool and learn from it? Let's talk about how we can start acting more formally in the people we meet every day. Setting clear, healthy limits in our relationships and being clear about what we're ready to accept and what we're not might be one way. This helps us keep our mental safety and set a standard of respect for each other. Learn to say no to things that don't fit with our values and goals. This is another way to treat ourselves with respect. This could mean turning down commitments or situations that make us feel bad or go against our values. Because of this, we show that we are true to ourselves and support our right to live by our beliefs. Maybe it's also about being kinder and more respectful to others in our daily lives, seeing the humanity in everyone we meet and understanding how they feel and what they're going through. We can build relationships that are more real and important this way. The more we know and value our own dignity, the more the outside world will notice it. This will change how other people see and treat us, starting a good circle of respect and love for each person's dignity. Know how much you're worth. Oh, you might be thinking, oh, it's just another talk about self-love. But stay with me, because I'm not going to talk about telling yourself over and over again how great you are. What does knowing your worth in relationships have to do with Stoicism? In fact, quite a bit. As the Stoics teach, the most important thing is to focus on what we can change. For example, we can change how we feel about ourselves. It doesn't matter how many Instagram likes you get or who friend requests you on any other social network. What matters is how you see and respect yourself. Consider this. Picture yourself as a valuable stone. Is it true that not everyone knows how much a rare rock is worth? People might not know what it is and walk right by it, but that doesn't change how much it's worth. It's still expensive, rare, and one of a kind. That's a true reflection of who you are. Real, one of a kind, and expensive. It doesn't make you less valuable if someone doesn't see it. Let's be honest for a moment. Everyone here has been turned down or felt like they weren't good enough at some point. This is especially true in today's world, where everyone seems to be living their best life. What Stoicism does, though, is tell you that your worth is not based on what other people think of you, but on how you live your life, your virtues, and the things you do. Are you nice? Are you telling the truth? Are you happy with the way you live? That's where your real worth lies. Self-reflection was very important to the Stoics. So stop for a moment and think about your traits, not just the obvious ones, but also the ones that are more important to you. Whether you're kind, strong, or a good listener, these are the things that make you valuable. Here's the secret. When you know this fully and honestly, it will change how you deal with others in relationships. You won't put up with nonsense not because you're cocky, but because you value yourself too highly. Here's a Stoic practice for you. The next time someone makes fun of you, don't give up and start doubting yourself. Instead, ask yourself what your skills and values are. It's not about acting haughty, it's about quietly realizing that you are good without needing validation from others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic rulers, says that you could change the outside world, but not your mind. You will find strength if you realize this. Figuring out our own worth is very important when we're talking about relationships. It's important to know that our worth doesn't come from how other people see us. It comes from how we see ourselves. Every day, it's a lesson and an exercise to cultivate and support our self-esteem and confidence. When we wake up, we have the chance to affirm our worth, no matter what other people think or say. We need to tell ourselves that we are important and deserving of love and respect, not because someone else says so, but because we truly believe it. We realize that our worth doesn't come from what other people think of us, but from our own essence and character as we work on getting to know and accept ourselves. Every step we take on this path of self-discovery helps us understand how much we're really worth. Personal growth is a slow and steady process through which we learn to see and value our skills, virtues, and unique qualities. As we go deeper into this inner journey, we learn that our worth is not based on what other people think of us. Understanding that we can cultivate and increase our worth over time gives us the power to take care of our lives and relationships, frees us from the need to seek validation from others, and enables us to live with unbreakable self-esteem and confidence. Finding strength in our own worth, even if other people don't see it, and realizing that we deserve love and respect just for being ourselves is what it's all about. Don't tell me what to do, show me. This idea also works great when we talk about setting limits. It's one thing to tell someone what your limits are. It's quite another to follow through and show them. Think about it this way. Anyone can say they won't stand for being mistreated, but when you do it, That's when you face the truth. When it comes to your lines, do you stick to them or let people cross them? That's where your real strength lies. It's not what you say, but what you do. This might not be easy, especially if you're feeling bad. Remember, though, what our Stoic friends told us. We have power over everything, even how we respond to things. Your actions, not what you say, show them what the line is when someone crosses it. It says a lot about you how you act if someone lies to you after you've made it clear that you value honesty. You're not making a scene by walking away or talking about the problem in a straight and cool way. This shows that you respect yourself and want to be respected in a way that fits with your values. This way of doing things can really change the way relationships work. People start to understand what you will and will not accept when they see that you have limits, that you will not let people cross, and rules and values that you are determined to uphold. It's about developing a sense of being an artist. Having self-respect is important, and you should stick to it. When it comes to the little things that happen every day, this is where you really become stoic. It's not just about the big things. What you do when someone breaks plans at the last minute, or when someone doesn't care about you anymore. With cool words and deeds, you let them know that this is not okay. Being present in the present moment is not the only thing that awareness is. Immersing ourselves fully in the present moment means paying close attention to every thought, feeling, and action that comes up within us. We are asked to question and reflect on how our actions reflect our personal boundaries and core values as we move along this road of self-awareness. Being fully present in the present moment gives us a chance to check if our actions are in line with our boundaries and true selves. We are always judging ourselves and asking if our actions are in line with our core beliefs and values, or if they are different from who we really are because of outside influences or societal standards. When we do this, we look at every contact and situation very carefully, trying to figure out how we are reacting and whether we are being honest with ourselves. We are asked to be aware of our own boundaries, to know when we feel unsafe or harmed, and to take action to safeguard our honesty and mental health. The little things that happen in everyday life are where our real nature and character strength are tested. In order to cultivate greater clarity and wisdom in our actions and choices, the practice of mindfulness pushes us to be present in each moment, to be aware of how we are responding to the different situations of life. When we go about our daily lives and interact with other people, we can set and show our personal limits in a more stoic way. It's not enough to have tight rules or be rigid in how we deal with others. We need to develop an inner sense that leads how we act and respond to different scenarios. This inner guide, which comes from Stoic ideas, tells us to always know our own boundaries and values and act in line with them. Our healthy limits should reflect who we are and what we value in life, not walls that keep the outside world out. People around us start to notice when we start to live this way. They start to see us as people who not only set clear limits, but also respect each other enough to make others respect them. It's like we're agreeing to ideals so that other people can live easier lives. We can cultivate a higher sense of self-worth and trust in ourselves by adopting this attitude, which also enables us to develop more genuine and respectful relationships. When we stick to our limits and values, we shine a light of honesty and integrity in a world that is often unsure and confusing. Finally, I know this may sound a bit old-fashioned or even harsh, but hear me out. It's not about being hard to get. It's about knowing your worth and loving yourself. What does the Stoic view say about this? Stoicism shows us how to control and train ourselves, but not in a strict way. If you want to be happy right away, you need to know what's really important and not give it away casually. It's nice to breathe this in. In relationships, or when we're dating someone, we often feel like we have to share everything with them, like our time, our space, and our inner thoughts. The Stoics, on the other hand, say to take a step back, because things that are easy to get lose their value over time. It's how people are. What's the point of mystery, meaning, and expectation if you're always open and say yes to everything? Let's discuss how to restrict access in a polite and stoic manner now. First, it's about how you look. Dress classy but not too fancy. Not only is it about style, it's a message that says, I value myself. You're not hiding, but you're also not giving away too much. Something about me makes me feel like I'm more than what I appear to be at first glance. Time and attention come next. Being picky about who gets your time is very useful in a world where we are always linked. My time is valuable, and I choose to spend it wisely, is what it's all about, not playing games. When you're with someone, give them your full attention. When you're not available, though, feel good about it, because it means you're focused on your own life, your interests, and your growth. Stoicism also teaches us how to control our feelings. In no way does this make you cold or detached. This means you don't let things really bother you. You keep your cool. You don't just give your mental energy to anyone. They have to earn it too. I'm not suggesting that you turn into a stoic figure, mind you. Connecting with other people is what makes life interesting. However, the beauty of going slowly and making a relationship that isn't just based on quick access and pleasure is that it helps you build something that is deep and lasts. Remember that limiting access is not about making other people feel bad or using their emotions to get what we want. On the contrary, it is an act of great self-respect that fits with our core beliefs. People who limit access show that they value themselves and believe that others should value them equally by doing things that aren't just words. We have to be a little more choosy in the people we talk to, more careful in the choices we make, and more controlled in the way we say things. It's about finding the right mix between being honest and keeping some things to yourself in order to protect your mental health and self-esteem. In our current world of meetings and relationships, we are following the Stoics' lead by taking this method. We are pledging to live by our core values and to establish clear limits that reflect our worth and respect. And trust me, this way of thinking changes everything about how other people see and treat us. We are sending a clear message to the world around us when we value ourselves and act with the resolve and consistency of the Stoics. We are saying that we deserve to be treated with respect and care, and we are not willing to give up our integrity for fear of being alone or not being accepted. Pay attention to what you do, not what you say. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, which means judging people by their deeds rather than just their words, as we've seen. There are a lot of nice words and empty claims in the world, especially when it comes to relationships. The Stoics, on the other hand, teach us to look beyond that and watch deeds because they show us the truth. It's easy to say what we think is right or what other people want to hear, to make promises, and to paint a picture of the future that sounds great. But do you show others how to do things? Do what you do match what you say? That's where the story really is. For real, we've all been there. When we first meet someone, they start telling us all these wonderful things, and we get caught up in them. But then, over time, what they do doesn't match up. They say they'll call but don't, and they change their minds at the last minute. Still, their words hold us tight. Our stoic inner self must step in at this point. People who practice stoicism learn not to let words or feelings get the best of them. It has to do with being sensible and seeing things as they really are. When someone's deeds don't match what they say, it's a sign that something is wrong. It's the universe's way of telling us to pay attention. The way our relationships work has really changed since we've changed our approach. We stop focusing on words and love promises and start noticing the little things, how they act when they're stressed, Do they keep their promises? And are they there for us not just in words, but in a real, physical way? We send a clear and strong message that says, "I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do," when we focus on actions. This is the most interesting part of the process. People around us know that they can't just say nice things to get our attention. They have to show us how valuable they are and what they really want by doing real, constant things. This change in perspective gives us the power to see things more clearly and wisely in our relationships. It shows us the difference between what people say and what they do, and it helps us form deeper, more sincere bonds based on trust and respect. In the end, it helps us cultivate better and happier relationships, where being consistent in what we say and do is very important. To protect our heart and inner peace, it's important to remember that it's not about being critical or suspicious of everyone around us. Instead, it's about being smart and careful in the right amounts. With a touch of Stoic wisdom, this wisdom tells us not to let our feelings control what we do, but to stick to our core ideals and principles. The goal is to find a good mix between your heart and head, your desire and your sense of reason. In this way, it's important to remember to watch what people do and listen to what they say. Having a Stoic attitude in love means being logical, aware, and smart in our relationships and interactions with others. Really understanding that deeds, not words, are what show how people feel and what they want to do is what this means. We can make better choices in our relationships if we pledge to this philosophy of life. These decisions will be based on a deep knowledge of truth and an honest respect of both ourselves and others. Get ready to leave. Stoicism has a beautiful idea called detachment. This doesn't mean being cold or heartless, but rather knowing what you can and can't control. One of the most powerful things you can control is whether to stay in a bad situation or leave it. Relationships are also discussed here. Some things inside us tell us that what we're going through is not what we deserve, but we stay. We hold on to the hope that things will get better or change because we're afraid of being alone or seeing things change. This is the turning point in history, though. Real power comes from realizing that we can choose not to stay in a position that goes against our morals. And this doesn't mean you should give up everything at the first sign of trouble. It takes work, effort, and patience to be in a relationship, but what's most important is that you know your values so well that you're ready to leave when something goes against them. The ability to say, "I value myself enough not to accept less than I deserve," requires inner strength and Stoic resolve. Let's talk about this some more. Being ready to walk away is a way to support yourself. It means being able to see clearly and having the inner strength to know when a relationship or situation goes against your values and sense of worth. I want to stress, though, that this doesn't have to be a rough or dramatic process. Often, it's a calm choice based on the knowledge that you deserve better. I know that going into the unknown can be dangerous and scary. We can remember the Stoics' lessons, though, when things get hard. They told us to face problems with courage and accept that life is always changing. If you have the strength to let go of things that don't serve you, you're making room in your life for new experiences and opportunities. You're paving the way for personal growth and renewal. Do not think that you are holding on to a situation out of necessity or fear. You are consciously choosing to do so for your own mental health and happiness. When we have the guts to leave something that doesn't serve us, we honor our inner wants and boost our self-esteem. We cultivate the ability to figure out what we really value during this process of getting ready to let go. It helps us figure out trends in our relationships that are unhealthy or dangerous and make choices that are good for our long-term happiness and health. So let's remember that being ready to leave is a sign of self-love and a promise to live a full and honest life. It reminds us all the time that we deserve to be treated with respect and care in every contact, and we are ready to fight for this right with all our might. Seventh, the power of no. Honesty and having the guts to stand up for what you believe in are very important in Stoicism. This is directly about being able to say no in relationships. It's about being sure of what you stand for and not being afraid to stick to your beliefs, even if they make other people uncomfortable. Let's say you're meeting someone and they tell you something that doesn't seem right. It could be going too fast or putting your ideals at risk in some way. Moving on would be the easy thing to do. Your stoic inner self must step in and say no at this point, though. Being honest with yourself about your ideals and limits is important right now. As it turns out, this is not at all easy. In fact, it can be very hard. That voice that says, "What if it AFs them?" is always there, even more so when you like the person. But this is where we need to be strong. Stoicism shows us how to be brave, not just when we face problems from the outside, but also when we face problems inside. There's more to saying no than just self-respect. It shows that you care about yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve. You could lose them, but here's the important thing. If turning down something that goes against your morals makes them dislike you, then maybe, just maybe, they weren't right for you. This way of doing things can really change how a friendship works. It changes someone's mind when they see that you're not afraid to say no, and that you're not only there to please them at the cost of your own values. It shows that you respect and value yourself. Another Stoic twist. Turning down something that goes against our values isn't just about telling other people what you won't do. It's also about being honest with yourself. Figuring out what you want and not really wanting to be in a relationship is what it's about. Remember that being afraid of being alone shouldn't make you do things that are bad for you. In fact, saying no is a sign of sincerity and self-affirmation. By setting healthy limits, it helps us stay true to our core values. The Stoics showed us how important it is to be strong in our beliefs and act in a way that is consistent with our values. This is an example of living with ethics, instead of giving in to outside standards or other people's requests. When we say no, we are respecting our true needs and wants. We are sticking up for ourselves and setting an example for relationships based on respect and understanding for each other. Saying no is an important part of taking care of yourself and being honest. It doesn't mean you're selfish or don't care about other people. We can build better, more effective relationships where everyone is valued and accepted for who they really are by setting clear limits and being honest about what we need. Allow us to remember that it's okay to say no. Self-love comes out in this way, and it's an important step toward making relationships that are real and rewarding. Accepting that we can say no when we need to puts us in a position of personal power and lets us live our lives with honesty and ethics in every contact. Eighth, have a good sense of doubt. Doubt and Stoicism go together. They try to see things as they really are, not how people think they should be. You might wonder if this has anything to do with love and dating. We've all heard someone say the words we want to hear, as if they were the right ones. We want to believe them, even though there are red flags all around us. In times like these, our inner Stoic self steps in. A healthy amount of doubt is like having superpowers. Keep your feet on the ground and don't take everything at face value. It doesn't mean you're negative or pessimistic. To do this, you need to watch, ask questions, and not jump in without thought. To put it in perspective, think about this situation. You like someone when you meet them. You are making plans for the future together and saying all these nice things to each other. But it's only been a few weeks since you met. Let's see if your deeds fit your words and how things turn out. your Stoic side would advise. Being skeptical doesn't mean asking a lot of questions or questioning everything the other person does. It means being aware, hearing what they say, and watching what they do. It means taking the time to get to know someone well and check to see if they make sense and are honest. The Stoics thought it was important to use logic and reason in relationships instead of letting your feelings take over. This is very important. In AES, it can be hard to find the right balance between our feelings and logic. But if we train our reasoning to be a little skeptical, it can help us look at things more objectively and clearly. By keeping a healthy dose of skepticism, we don't let our feelings determine our decisions. Instead, we base our choices on facts and our true needs. In this way, we can tell the difference between things that are good for us and things that could be harmful to our mental health. On top of that, being skeptical helps us keep our hearts safe from sadness or mental harm. We give ourselves the time to better understand the other person, their goals, and how well they fit with our own wants and values when we don't rush into situations before we've fully thought them through. Building walls or shields around our hearts isn't the only thing that needs to be done. We also need to open doors and be wise. We can stay alert and aware of our feelings by being suspicious. This lets us discover new relationships with a clear mind and a safe heart. Stoicism, as a philosophy of life, encourages us to tune in to the very essence of existence, to go with the flow of the universe's natural rhythms, and to accept reality with serenity. When the lessons are put in the context of love, they become deeply meaningful and life-changing. By taking a Stoic view, we acknowledge that we and our loved ones are flawed beings who are affected by life's ups and downs and have limits. We don't try to be perfect, either in ourselves or in others. Instead, we accept our flaws as normal parts of being human and value character over looks. We find beauty in being open and honest, and when we accept our flaws with kindness and understanding, we make room for each other to grow and connect in a real way. We have the chance to cultivate strong, important relationships through the practice of acceptance and understanding, where real connection and support for one another are the cornerstones. We learn to accept and flow with the situations that come our way instead of fighting reality or trying to change other people to fit our needs. In the present moment, we find a deep sense of peace and happiness. By learning accepting, we learn to see and accept our own flaws as well as those of others. We understand that we are only human and that it is normal to make mistakes and have problems in our relationships. We choose not to judge ourselves or others. Instead, we let ourselves be kind and understanding, knowing that we are all doing the best we can with the tools and resources we have at any given time. When we understand someone, we can put ourselves in their shoes and feel what they're going through. We know that everyone has a unique story, set of wounds, and set of reasons for doing what they do, and we try to see things from their point of view with kindness and understanding. By doing this, we improve the bonds of trust and closeness in our relationships, creating a space where everyone can help each other and understand each other completely. In the end, cultivating acceptance and understanding helps us cultivate more real and meaningful relationships, where love and connection grow easily in a space where everyone feels accepted and respected. We can find great happiness and pleasure in our relationships and let love grow in all its glory if we learn to go with the flow and accept things as they are. By enjoying and recognizing our shared humanity, we accept the depth of our relationships with each other and see how deeply we are linked to everything else. With this method, we are encouraged to cultivate a loving kindness that goes beyond the ego and accepts the differences and individuality of everyone. When we realize that we are all on the same journey through life, we become allies and fellow travelers for those who cross our paths. We promise to be there for each other through the ups and downs of existence, including the happy and joyful times, as well as the hard and challenging ones, with compassion and calmness. This kind of love doesn't have any bounds or borders because it goes beyond the things that separate us. We are all human, so we can see our similarities in our differences and feel a deep sense of connection and belonging when we associate with others. By accepting this kind of loving kindness, we can build relationships that are truly important and fulfilling, giving us support, comfort and joy as we go through life. We don't focus on ourselves. Instead, we offer our caring and understanding presence to others as a source of hope and comfort in a world that is often rough and confusing. To sum up, Stoicism tells us to accept things as they are and find beauty and value in everything, even romantic relationships. We cultivate real, truly rewarding relationships based on sincere connection and unwavering support for one another by practicing accepting, understanding, and kindness. Never chase this fits so well with everything we've been talking about, even more so when we see it through the eyes of a Stoic. A big part of Stoicism is the idea that we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. When it comes to relationships, this philosophy is very important. It means realizing that chasing someone away is not only useless, but also goes against what we believe in ourselves and our worth. Let's say you're seeing someone and things are going well at first, but then you start to move apart. We've all been through similar things and wanted to try to bridge that gap. Still, the Stoics taught us to wait for what's going to happen and chase after things that are out of our control, that hurt our honor, self-respect, and peace of mind. Trying to chase someone away is like trying to catch water without letting it slip through your fingers. It doesn't work and leaves you feeling empty. But here's the important thing. When you let go of things that don't belong to you, you make room for better things. It's like getting rid of junk to make room for new things. It can be hard to let go of things that don't feed you, but it's an act of genuine self-love. The Stoic way is to be sure of what you believe in. Let someone go if they are leaving. Recognizing that you can't change how you feel or what other people do isn't being cold or uncaring. You can only choose how to react. Since we all know how hard this is, let's be honest. It takes a lot of strength not to go after that urge. They need to know that if someone wants to be with you, they will be. Things get really interesting when you stop chasing and start focusing on your own life. The confidence and strength you give off makes people want to be around you. That's like giving a message that says, "I'm worth it." Let's treat relationships with stoicism, and let's focus on what we can control. Finding inner peace is more important than seeking validation from others. You have the choice of how to deal with things in your life. Take a moment to remember that you build your own honor and protect your self-esteem. Take advantage of your strength and let your actions, decisions, and limitations show what a great person you are. If you want to follow the advice of Stoicism and show your worth through deeds instead of words, these are some ways you can do it. Always remember that being brave isn't something you say, it's something you do. Unconditional love. In Stoic philosophy, unconditional love is a central idea that goes beyond just liking others without expecting anything in return. It means understanding and appreciating the worth of every person, no matter what they do, how well they do, or what their situation is. We promise to accept and value ourselves exactly as we are, with all of our virtues and flaws, when we practice selfless love for ourselves. This means developing a compassionate and accepting relationship with ourselves and letting go of negative judgment and self-criticism. Additionally, pure love for others goes beyond just understanding and caring about what they're going through. Also, it means letting people be the way they are and not trying to change them or criticizing what they do or choose. Being there for someone when they need help is more than just being there to listen or cry on. It means building a real and deep connection with the people around us, which means being willing to listen, understand their worries and fears, and offer the support they need, even if it means leaving our comfort zone. You can show your understanding and concern for others and improve your relationships at the same time by giving this kind of support without conditions. We build strong relationships based on trust and respect when we promise to be there for others when they need us. It's important to remember that total support doesn't just mean being there for someone in a crisis. It also means being there to share their joy and celebrate their wins and victories. Our bonds with those around us are strengthened even more by this force of unity and friendship. To practice pure love, we must learn to forgive those who have hurt or let us down and let go of our anger or hatred. This means seeing our own and other people's humanity and knowing that everyone makes mistakes and has problems in life. Forgiving someone doesn't mean defending their actions or forgetting the harm they've done to us. Instead, it means letting go of the emotional weight we carry when we hold on to anger, which lets us move on with kindness and inner peace. We improve our relationships with others and grow and change as people by practicing selfless love and forgiveness. People who choose to accept and love without conditions are freeing themselves from the weight of anger and hatred. This makes room for significant personal growth. Unconditional love asks us to accept others as they are, flaws and all, and to see their value as people. It challenges us to show compassion and empathy for them, even if they have hurt or disappointed us, and to stay open to the possibility of making things right and understanding each other better. Furthermore, forgiving someone helps us let go of the past and move on with more clarity and peace of mind. By letting go of anger and resentment, we make room for personal growth and emotional healing. This lets us close painful pages in our lives and welcome new experiences, chances for love, and real connections. To sum up, practicing unconditional love and forgiveness helps us build healthier and more meaningful relationships based on mutual acceptance, respect, and personal growth. It also gives us the chance to connect with ourselves and others more deeply and enrichingly, and to live a fuller and more satisfying life. Don't base your whole life on the other person. In today's world, it's easy to put others above ourselves and lose sight of our own goals. You'll see how much more important you are in love if you choose your own way. The only person who can hurt you is you. Don't let other people run your life. The strong words in this quote tell us that we are in charge of our own inner peace and mental health. People's negative thoughts and views can be everywhere, so it's important to know that we can choose how they affect us. It's a call to self-reflection and sincerity, to be who we are without worrying about what other people will think. When we really understand this principle, we take charge of our own lives. Our self-esteem and respect grow, which makes other people value and care about us more. Marcus Aurelius said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." This is a strong truth to remember when we are facing problems and complaints. Being able to avoid starting talks in a world where people are always talking may seem hard, but it comes from Stoic wisdom. Epicurus and other philosophers told us that it's better to listen than to talk, and let other people start the conversation. We learn more about other people and ourselves when we let them start the talk. Being ready to talk all the time can make you look nervous and self-centered, which turns people off. Building real, high-value relationships requires patience and a desire to let other people start the talk. This emphasis on putting Stoic ideas into practice in daily life is a potent tool for personal development and fostering genuine and important relationships. Creating a fear of loss, practicing patience, limiting your availability, encouraging freedom, and learning to let other people start conversations are all things that can help you live a more healthy and real life. A life philosophy called Stoicism not only changes how we interact with other people, but it also completely changes how we see ourselves. By accepting and putting these principles into practice, we set out on an introspective trip that helps us find serenity in the midst of chaos, make more informed choices, and face obstacles with an unbreakable mental strength. What Stoicism is all about is not just how we relate to other people, but also how we connect with our own essence. By following these rules, we not only learn how to deal with things outside of our control, but we also start to understand and control ourselves. These principles become an internal guideline that helps us make decisions. They teach us how to find balance in the midst of chaos, how to stay calm in the face of uncertainty, and how to cultivate the mental toughness required to get through hard times in a deep and meaningful way. In the end, Stoicism leads to an internal change that not only affects our relationships with others, but also changes how we understand and see ourselves, enabling us to live a better, more real, and more useful life. One of the most important parts of Stoicism is living by our beliefs. This can have a huge effect on our relationships. This philosophy tells us how important it is to stick to what we believe is right and fair, even when we are in a close relationship. When it comes to romantic relationships, this idea means that we need to make sure that the relationship is in line with our inner values and beliefs. This requires us to reflect on our connection and how these values show up in our daily lives. To give you an example, if we value confidence, then our partnership must be built on honesty and open conversation. The same goes for how we treat our partner. If we value mutual respect and equality, we should make sure that our relationships with them reflect these values. When we make choices based on our ideals, we have to be true to ourselves, even when the relationship is hard or there are outside forces. Setting healthy limits or stopping a relationship that doesn't meet our moral standards are two examples of hard choices that we may have to make. When we promise to live our values in a loving relationship, we build the building blocks for a deep and permanent bond. Not only does this pledge improve our own ethics, but it also helps build a connection based on trust, respect, and growth for both parties. By making choices and acting in ways that are in line with our values, we can be true to what we value in life and in our relationship with our partner. For example, if we value loyalty, we will try to be loyal and trustworthy in our relationship. If we value kindness, we will look for helpful ways to help and care for our partner. Because our deeds and beliefs are in line with each other, the connection feels real and sincere. The strength of our trust relationship is our partner's perception of us as honest and trustworthy people. Also, when we act in a way that is consistent with our beliefs, it encourages our partner to do the same. This helps us both grow and understand each other better. Living by our ideals also helps us get through the tough times and disagreements that may come up in the relationship. We can use our ideals to help us make moral and helpful choices when we're in tough situations. This keeps us from giving up on our values or responding without thinking, so we can solve problems in a polite and helpful way. In the end, living our ideals in a loving relationship not only makes us happier and healthier, but it also makes our relationship with our partner stronger. By building our connection on honesty and love for each other, we can make it strong and last for a long time. Along with being honest, loyal, compassionate, and respectful to our partner, practicing virtue in a love partnership means a lot more. It's a promise to be the best versions of ourselves in every part of our life together. The virtue encourages us to learn more about honesty, which is more than just being open and honest in our interactions. Being genuine in our relationships, displaying our abilities and areas for improvement, is what it means to be real. By doing this, we create a space where everyone can trust each other and grow and develop openly. In a good relationship, loyalty means more than just being physically and emotionally faithful to our partner. It also means making a long-term promise to support and be there for them no matter what. It means being there for them when things get tough, giving them a shoulder to lean on and a hand to help them get through it. Compassion is a virtue that tells us to understand our partner's point of view, understand their feelings and experiences, and put ourselves in their shoes. It means being ready to comfort and help them when they need it, and to share their happiness as if it were our own. Respect and virtue are important in a relationship because they build trust and support for each other. This means not only valuing our partner as a person, but also helping them grow personally and professionally by listening to their thoughts and worries, trying to see things from their point of view, and working with them to make choices that are good for both of us. Let them put money into you. Seeing your worth and identity is what this means. It's not enough to just be in someone's life. You need to become an important part of their world. This knowledge means that you know that things that are easy to get are often not given enough credit. Real recognition comes from putting in work and time. People who put time, feeling, and energy into your life form bonds that last longer and are stronger. By going through this process, you go from being a curious bystander to a presence that is truly valued. That's not about badly wanting other people's love or attention. That's about showing that you are a useful and beneficial part of their lives and deserve real interest. Giving people the chance to invest in you means letting them make your appearance an important part of their lives that they wouldn't want to lose. Cicero, a Stoic philosopher, said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This emphasizes the essence of his value, which is not just in being, but also in being sought after and fought for. The story of Alexander the Great and his teacher Aristotle shows how important good teaching is, and how the connection between a teacher and a student goes beyond what most people think. Aristotle, a smart philosopher, wasn't just the young prince's teacher. He also saw himself as a source of information and the kind of strategic thought that is needed to run a kingdom. Alexander, who was smart and ambitious, saw how useful Aristotle's lessons were and put in a lot of time and effort to learn from him. In short, virtue and letting others invest in you are two of the most important things we can do to improve our relationships, because they build bonds based on honesty, respect, and growth together. Real relationships that make you feel deeply satisfied. As you continue on this path to the heart of Stoicism, remember that being the rock in the storm doesn't mean escaping problems. It means facing them with the unbreakable strength that you already have. Let these Stoic secrets help you focus on yourself, be strong, and find the deep joy that comes from being in charge of your own mind. It was Marcus Aurelius who said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. Everything lies within you, in your way of thinking." I really hope this lesson has been helpful. You can live a good life by focusing on what you can control, according to the school of realistic philosophy called Stoicism. The Stoic way of thinking can help you deal with stress, anxiety, and other bad feelings. No matter what, practitioners try to keep their minds calm and logical. Every month, hundreds of thousands of people search Google for Stoicism. But why? The reason is that a school of philosophy that is 2,300 years old is still very popular today. One major reason is that Stoicism is not a philosophy you can read while sitting on the couch. This school of thought is followed by people who value deeds over words, from Zeno of Citio to Ryan Holiday. It didn't matter to the Stoics who you were or where you came from. Stoicism also deals with timeless issues like how to deal with problems and bad feelings, get to know yourself, and focus your energy on things that really matter. Our brains still work in similar ways, even though a lot has changed in the last 2,300 years. Every day, we both deal with similar mental problems and problems. It makes sense that Stoic philosophy is still studied today. It deals with problems that will always be important. Now I will give you 10 Stoic rules for having a good life. Get ready and change and grow. 1. Do good things. The Stoics believe that the only way to live a good life is to be good. Plato came up with the idea of the 4 cardinal virtues, but they were also important to the Stoics, other Hellenistic philosophers, and even Christian thinkers. The 4 virtues are wisdom, courage, modesty, and justice. They are character traits that we should all strive for and respect in others. Being wise means making good choices, judging things logically, and knowing the difference between right and wrong. This virtue is important because the other 3 depend on it. Being brave means not being afraid to face scary, unsure, threatening, or hard conditions. Being temperate means being moderate, not going overboard, acting in a reasonable way, being self-controlled, and not letting your wildest wants take over. Being fair, right, and honest with other people is what it means to be just. Wisdom, bravery, and moderation can all turn into vices when there is no justice. As a result, the 4 virtues must work together. The Stoics believe that it doesn't matter what your job is, how much money you have, who you are, when you are, or whether you wear a tie or a shirt. What counts is your character, your beliefs, and how honest you are in what you do. Thus, Stoicism was used by both rich and poor people, aristocrats and slaves. Seneca said, "A good character is the only guarantee of eternal and carefree happiness." The ideals of Stoicism have had an effect on many famous people throughout history. Some of the people I'll talk about are Adam Smith, Michel de Montaigne, Frederick II of Prussia, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Stuart Mill, and others. Stoicism is not a philosophy just for famous people, despite what you might think. The fact that famous people have been affected by Stoicism doesn't mean that it was only made for important, wealthy, or prestigious people. Stoicism, on the other hand, is a good source of wisdom that anyone can use. Before they did what they did, none of these people were important. The reason they were important was that they tried to be smart, brave, fair, and reasonable. It's impossible not to do great things in life once you start acting in the most moral way possible. Spend your time on the things you can control and let go of the rest. What does it mean to have a lot of books? It means being able to tell the difference between things we can control and things we can't. This quote is the first thing you read in Epictetus's guidebook because it explains the duality of control, which is a key idea in Stoic philosophy. To live a good life, we need to pay attention to the things we can control and be okay with everything else. Some things can't be changed, but we can decide what to do with the things that are happening to us. Epictetus said, "Do the best with what you have control over and accept what happens." We can't always change what happens. We have control over the decisions, acts, and judgments we make on our own. The rest aren't completely under our control, and they can be put into groups based on how much power we have over them. We can divide them into 2 groups. partial influence, and small or no influence. Partial influence includes our health, our assets, our relationships, and everything else that changes because of what we do and think. Small or no influence includes our time, our background, and other things that have nothing to do with us. For instance, choosing whether the scale will say 60, 80, or 100 kilo is not within your control. However, being physically active is. You might find out that you can't lose weight because of a disease, and you probably can't do anything about it. What number of digits your bank account will have in a few years is not up to you. You have to work. The central bank of your country might lower the value of the local currency, which would mean that the numbers you have saved will be worth nothing. We don't have complete control over what happens around us, but we do have control over what we do, what we believe, and what we think. This is why virtue-based behavior is so important. A good life is one in which we act, think, and decide with wisdom, courage, balance, and fairness. But we will suffer our whole lives if we try to control things that we can't. Third, own up to the things you can control. People you were born with, the school you went to, and the friends you made there are not things you can change. Still, these things have an effect on what happens to you later on. This means that we can't control most of the things that happen in our lives. Even so, we can pick how to react to things we can't have control over. For Epictetus, men are not disturbed by the things that happen, but by their opinions about events. This means that he knows we are responsible for what we think and do about the things that happen to us. What else can we be responsible for if we don't take responsibility for it? No matter what, you need to take responsibility for your actions and thoughts in order to get through the rough sea that is life. If you don't take responsibility and get lost in this rough sea, you could sink your ship and die. When we take responsibility for our decisions and actions, we stop blaming other people or things for our happiness or sadness. It doesn't help to blame outside forces because they are out of our control. If you blame something or someone for what you do and think, you give up what little control you have and make your pain more likely to happen. If we own up to the things we can control, the things going on around us become less important. That being said, what counts is that we act in line with our ideals, no matter what. 4. Being able to tell the difference between things that are good, bad, or not important. The Stoics said that everything can be broken down into 3 groups: things that are good, things that are bad, and things that don't matter. When you act, think, and judge in a smart, reasonable, and fair way, you have virtues. Bad actions, thoughts, and judgments are just vices, which are the opposite of virtues. Examples of vices are being stupid, weak, licentious, and unfair. It doesn't matter what else is going on, life or death, good or bad image, wealth or sorrow, health or sickness. Except that we can only judge what we can control as good or bad. Everything outside of our control doesn't matter. What's more, if we think something is good but out of our control, we will want it. But fate can take that thing away at any time. When something is taken away from us against our will, we will be angry because we want it. An easy way to show this is by saying that if you think being healthy is a good thing, then you will want to be healthy. It's just that fate might take it away from you one day. So, we shouldn't want anything outside of ourselves. So, the only things that can be called good or bad are our acts, thoughts, and decisions. To Stoics, getting sick is neither good nor bad. It doesn't matter. We don't really have full control over whether we get sick or not. Not because sickness doesn't matter, though. A Stoic would still take care of his own health. Stoics believe that being healthy is better. If something is neutral, it is not preferable, and if it is preferable, it is neutral. If the first option is true, and we are healthy, We can use our human reason to help other cosmological beings. In the event that we are stuck in bed, we shall not be able to rise and perform our human duties. Because of this, Stoics respect things like working out, eating well, and getting enough sleep. In the same way, having money doesn't change anything, but being financially independent is better because it lets us give some of our money to causes we care about and study philosophy. The same thing can be said about our friendships. Of course, having friends is better than having foes. Having a good image is better than having a bad one. Not being known is not better than being famous, and so on. Finally, it's important not to want health or wealth so much that you can't live without them. If we want them, we stop seeing them as unimportant and start seeing them as good things. By doing this, we lose our wisdom, because being smart means being able to tell the difference between good, bad, and neutral things. Fifth, we should use what we've learned. The philosophy of Stoicism is very useful. For Stoics, it's not enough to just think about how to live. It is the same thing to not think as to not act on your ideas. We don't need to argue or have discussions if we don't plan to do anything. We shouldn't be happy just learning about vague and theoretical ideas. There is no need to wait for the perfect time to use what we have learned. We need to do what we think about. To live a good life, you have to do good things. Alexander the Great once said, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Stick to it with action is needed, and now is the time." Sixth, think about what could go wrong. The vast majority of events in our lives are unexpected. We often feel worried and scared when they happen because we can't plan for all of them. The things that make us feel uneasy are not the things themselves. It's how we judge them and respond to them. After all, different people can laugh or cry at the same event. To put it another way, the difference is how you look at it. By definition, we can't guess what will happen. We can train our minds to deal with it better when it happens, though. The Stoics thought about bad things that would happen so they wouldn't lose their cool in bad conditions. Let's say you want to sail all the way around your country's coast. You'll make a list of places to see, beaches to visit, foods to try, and other things before you leave on your trip. Most people, though, won't write down all the bad things that might happen on their trip. Premeditation of sins is the act of picturing the worst-case scenarios that most of us never think to think of. Not only would a Stoic traveler think about beaches, towns, and kitchens, but also, what if my ship sank? What if there was a really bad storm? What if the wind was too strong for my sails? What if I got lost? What if I was hungry and still a long way from another port? By thinking about bad things that might happen, we train our minds to deal with bad or even disastrous situations in a cool and logical way. Why don't we start now? Plan what you're going to do this week. Then think about what might not work out with those ideas. Seventh, take your goals inside. I'm planning to do these things. If nothing comes up that could stop me from making my choice, I will cross the ocean. If nothing stops me, right? The Stoic way of life tells us to always give our best. But we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking that doing our best will always get us what we want. We don't control what happens after we do something. Setting a goal to cross the ocean doesn't make sense to Stoics. A storm might make it impossible for you to get to the other side of the water, but nothing can stop you from traveling the sea as well as you can and using all of your skills to the fullest. A Stoic doesn't connect their goal to something outside of themselves that they can't fully control. Instead, they connect their goal to something inside themselves that they can control. This is what it means to internalize goals. You might think that this concept sounds like inaction, like, I'll try, but if I fail, that's okay. I've done all I can. But it's actually the exact opposite. Being a Stoic means giving up the desire to achieve a certain result. When you do this, you also give up the frustration of not having achieved it in the future. When your mind is free of unnecessary suffering in the future, you can focus on the actions you can control. In other words, accepting that things won't always go as planned saves us from needless suffering and frustration. We don't have to waste time hurting for no reason, so we can focus on what to do in the new situation. Passivity is the opposite of being stoic. It means getting lost in your thoughts and picturing how things might go as if they were happening in different worlds. Which sailor is more likely to cross the sea? The one who complains about the storm, or the one who focuses on sailing as well as possible, no matter how rough the sea is? Eighth, turn problems into chances. We already know that outside events are neutral, meaning they are neither good nor bad. This means that an event itself is neither a chance nor a hurdle. What counts is what we do, think, and decide about these events. The way we see things can be like an anchor that stops us from traveling, or it can be like a strong wind that lifts our sails and takes us across the ocean. In the past, you may have thought of a chance as something that helps you reach your goals, like making more money or getting more attention. However, that's not the chance I'm talking about here. After all, if you follow the principle of internalizing your goals, you will stop looking for things like money or praise from other people. Once you set internal goals, like becoming smarter, braver, more moderate, or more fair, every event that brings you closer to that goal will be an opportunity. A job offer might be a good chance to make more money or learn new things, but it won't always help you become a better person. On the other hand, you probably won't be able to get anything out of being sick, but being sick can teach you how to deal with problems. It will be easier to turn problems into chances once you know what your goals are. 9. There is no better fate than the one you have. You will find serenity if you don't wish for everything to go the way you want it to. Instead, wish for everything to go the way it should. Epictetus seems crazy to believe that we can love things that hurt us and push us out of our comfort zone. You might first ask yourself, how can I want to be fired? I'd rather be sick. When someone I care about dies, I can't help but wish they were still living. It's not an easy idea to understand, let alone put into practice. I get it. To help you understand this idea better, think about this. It is easier to change what happened or how you feel about what happened. The things we judge are things that happen in the present, not things that happened in the past. We can change how we feel about things because all we have is the present and the power to deal with it. You remember the idea that outside things are neither good nor bad, but rather neutral. The idea of liking your fate goes with this because you are the only one who has complete control over your actions, thoughts, and decisions. Try to think, act, and judge everything that happens to you in a good way. Remember that every shipwreck is a chance to dock in new lands. To love your destiny, you must first accept that you don't control what happens to you. You only control how you act, think, and judge what happens to you. This means that everything that happens is random. You can't choose whether it will rain or shine or be hot or cold. All you have to do is accept these things, then go beyond simple acceptance and deeply love everything that happens to you. For example, if it's cold in the morning, you can dress in your warmest, most comfortable clothes. If it's hot in the afternoon, you can take off your coat and enjoy the wind. If it rains, the air will be cleaner. If it's sunny, your body will make more vitamin D. Loving fate means not worrying about the weather itself. You can always make the best of it. 10. Always be self-aware. Awareness goes hand in hand with self-knowledge. Being self-aware means being able to observe and analyze your own actions, thoughts, and judgments. Self-awareness is both a prerequisite and a consequence of the practice of Stoicism. While self-awareness is needed to become a Stoic, self-awareness develops as you practice Stoicism. A good exercise to begin training this self-awareness is to observe yourself in the third person. If you could step back and look at yourself in your day-to-day life, what would you see? What actions would you be taking? What thoughts would be going through your head? What emotions would you be experiencing? If you could observe yourself in the third person, would you be happy with what you see? The ability to briefly step away from yourself is what will allow you to better question your thoughts and make good decisions in the now. By observing yourself from a distance, you get off autopilot. In any situation, you initially react with an automatic and uncontrollable emotion, such as anger, joy, or fear. Then, in response, you make a value judgment about the emotion and create a feeling. This feeling triggers actions, such as yelling when you feel angry or shutting down when you feel fear. Being self-aware means separating the emotion itself from your value judgment about it. Once you are self-aware, you can evaluate whether a particular feeling works to your advantage or disadvantage in a situation. Acting like a Stoic is not about having the power to control your emotions, but about not letting your emotions control you. When you develop the ability to observe, analyze, and judge your own thoughts, you will make better and more rational decisions. Only then will you be able to change your behavior and your life for the better. Modern versions of exercises that the Stoic philosophers used. You won't understand Stoic principles overnight. You have to immerse yourself in them for a while. But it's not enough to just think about them. Actions speak louder than words, which is why Stoic principles aren't hard to understand or vague. If they were, you wouldn't be able to put them into practice. To help you immerse yourself in Stoicism, you can start with spiritual exercises that Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius used. Here are 3 of them. Exercise 1. Daily reflection. We have the feeling that time flies when we live on autopilot. Stop and think about today. How much of your day have you really lived? How much of your day has passed without you noticing? Daily reflections take us out of autopilot and help us regain control of the direction of our lives. Reflecting on how to be a wiser, braver, more temperate and fairer person is what keeps you closer to your ideal self. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations. Writing meditations helped him reflect. You can begin your daily reflection by asking yourself, what have I done well today? Where have I failed? What could I have done better? In addition to these 3 questions, define tangible improvements to put into practice the next day. Something like smiling more, being calmer, or taking a breath before answering a question. The simple act of setting yourself better actions helps you reflect the next day on whether or not you have done what you set out to do. The next day, you will reflect on the effects of the new action you have taken or what prevented you from taking action. Getting into the habit of recording your reflections in text, audio, or video will help you track your progress over time. When we spend a lot of time focused on the road ahead, we often forget to look back. Realizing how far we've come helps us know that we're on the right track. In practice, take 5 minutes before bedtime to reflect on your day using the 3 questions above. Writing down your reflections is not an obligation, but it makes the exercise more effective. Some ways to record your daily reflections are to record audios, write in WhatsApp groups where it's just you, keep a physical notebook, record videos, and save them in a place you can easily access in the future. Exercise 2. Love your destiny. Destiny leads the willing and drags with it the unwilling, said Seneca. How many times have you seen someone angry because the traffic light opened just as they were about to cross the street? How many times have you seen someone impatient because the elevator took too long? How many times have you been that person? It is common to feel frustrated when the most insignificant situations do not go the way we want them to, and this is one of the greatest evils we can commit against ourselves. The more justified it seems to feel bad about something, the more damage we are doing to ourselves. When we get frustrated, we give up control over the actions we can take in response. Your frustration doesn't change the past, so don't resist the elevator taking too long to arrive. Don't wish it were faster. Accept the speed of the elevator for what it is. Stoics only care about what they can control. The future is uncertain and not in our control. Don't cling to your expectations. And remember that things come and go. A Stoic does not get frustrated when things turn out supposedly unfavorable. There is no point in fighting against something that is beyond your power of choice. Such reticence only makes you miserable in the face of the situation. Accepting fate, loving it, and making the best of what has happened is essential to living a good, fulfilling, and happy life. In practice, when something happens to you, ask yourself if you can do something about it. If the answer is no, accept it. If the answer is yes, focus on the actions you should take as a result. Exercise. 3. Pain and illness are two chances to show your virtues. Illness stops the body but not the mind. Unless you think it is, a limp is an impediment to the legs, not to the will, said Epictetus. Use this same logic for everything else that comes up. You can find an impediment to anything, but not to yourself. Epictetus limped. He knew that lameness was an impediment to his legs, not to his mind. Being lame prevented him from being a soldier, but not from living a good life. The same can apply to physical pain or illness. Illness affects the body, not the mind. Illness does not affect our ability to choose how we act and think in response to it. After all, we can endure headaches with serenity or turn them into an excuse for not performing any tasks during the day. Feeling pain or being sick cannot be a justification for weakening your character. Keep your cool. Choose not to be affected by the pain, and it will not have affected you. In practice, the next time you feel any kind of pain or are ill, remember to exercise the virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Don't forget that pain affects the body, not the mind.